All right. Barak Thay Howard. Barak Thay Howard Shah. And we want to give double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone who rule well. And we also want to say peace and blessings, salutations to the hopeful elect. And you know, may the Most High give shelter and comfort to the brothers out there in Houston, man. All right, we're going to stay prayed up for them brothers, man. All right, but you know you got it, brother.
Yeah, hey, this lesson is going to be entitled, according to the prophecies, we are the Israelites.
All right, this book Isaiah chapter 2 verse 1. The word that Isaiah the son of Amos saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem. And it shall come to pass in the last days that the mount of the Lord's house shall be established in the top of the mountains.
Right, so on top of the mountains. Out of all these other nations' governments, man, the kingdom of heaven is going to rule, man. Go ahead, bro.
And shall be exalted above the hills.
These smaller nations.
And all nations shall flow into it. And many people shall come and say, Come ye, and let us go forth up to the mountain of the Lord, to the house of the power of Jacob, and he will teach us his ways, and we will walk in his paths for
now, according to history, or when has this ever happened, man? When has all the nations went to Jerusalem, per se, or went to Israel at this time frame, or any point of history to get the law, statutes, and the commandments, man? This has not ever happened, man. So this prophecy alone lets you know that those so-called Jewish people are not the real Israelites, man. Y'all got some points y'all can bring them up.
It said, For out of Zion shall go forth the law and the word of the Lord, Yahweh Shemel Shai, from Jerusalem.
Continue.
And he shall judge among the nations and shall rebuke many people, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares.
Right. So basically, they're going to beat their swords into plowshares, meaning right now the nations are using their agriculture to build up their military. All right, but after World War III is over, then it's not going to be no need for these military tanks and so on and so forth, man. It's not going to be need for the sword or anything else that promotes military might, because World War III is going to be the judgment on all the nations, man. That's where you go.
And their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up swords against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore.
Right, and so this prophecy alone lets you know that those so-called Jews are not the real Jews, man, because every time you turn on RT.com or you log into RT.com or even on fake station like CNN, they're always talking about war. North Korea just launched a missile over Japan, okay? Put more sanctions on Iran and Russia, and so on and so forth. Somebody got Micah. Let's go with that. Micah. Go ahead, bro. Micah 1-4.
This is the second president of Egypt, Gamal Abdel Nasser. And this is the quote about the fake Jews currently in Israel. This was in 1952. He said, "You will never be able to live here in peace because you left here black and came back white."
You want to slide on that, bro?
Now, I'm just showing you that like those top elites in this society, they know who the real children of Israel are, and that further proves that the so-called, the biblical Jews are so-called Negroes, So those people that's currently in Israel today, those are Khazars, really. They're the biblical Edomites,
And who was that again?
His name is Gamal Abdel Nasser.
And this is the prophecy he fulfills. Obadiah 1:1, the vision of Obadiah. Thus saith the Lord power concerning Edom. We have heard a rumor from the Lord, and an ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise ye, and let us rise up against her in battle. So what did the ambassador do? He proclaimed that those so-called Jewish people were not the real Jews. Why? Because they left black and they came back white.
All right, Micah 1-4. Micah chapter 1 verse 4. And the mountains shall be molten under him, and the valleys shall be cleft as wax before the fire, and as the waters that are poured down a steep place. For the transgression of Jacob is all this, and for the sins of the house of Israel. What is the transgression of Jacob? Is it
Slaki, bro. Micah 4:1, Slaki.
Okay, Slaki. All right, Micah chapter 4 verse 1. But in the last days it shall come to pass that the mount of the house of Yahweh shall be established in the top of the mountains.
So we are in the last days at this time frame, all right? But at the same time, Yahweh Shem Shah's mountain has not been officially established yet. Yahweh Shah is not ruling, man. That's how we know that we are the real Israelites, man. Go ahead, bro.
And this should be exalted above the hills.
Right. So Yahweh Shah's kingdom is going to be exalted over the hills, these smaller nations, man. Go ahead, bro.
And people shall flow unto it.
Right, and people shall flow unto it, these other nations, right? Why? Because Yahweh Shah's kingdom is going to be the real New World Order, man. Go ahead, bro.
And many nations shall come and say, Come, and let us go up to the mount of Yahweh, and to the house of the power of Jacob, and he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For the lad shall go forth for the law shall go forth of Zion, and the word of Yahweh from Jerusalem.
Right, and you don't see Russia trying to get to Israel, man, for the law, statutes, and commandments and guidance, man. You know, or to know more about Yahweh Shem Shah. You don't see Iran either, man. You don't see who is that? The president from Assyria. You don't see him trying to go to Israel as well, man. Because why? They know that they're not the real people, man. They know that they're not the Lord's people. Go ahead, bro.
And he shall judge among many people, and rebuke strong nations afar off. And they shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks.
Meaning no more war, man. But right now, World War III has not been deemed yet. It has not happened. So we know that this prophecy has to come to pass as well, man. Go ahead, bro.
Nation shall not lift up a sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore.
And basically, it's just Micah is saying the same thing Isaiah just said in the second chapter. All right. Any precepts? Go ahead, bro.
I got Ezekiel 34 and start 23. It said, and I will set up one shepherd over them, and he shall feed them, even my servant David. He shall feed them, and he shall be their shepherd. All right. So if those are the real Israelites, where's King David? You know, because the prophet say how about Shema Shah gonna set up David over us, man, under Yahweh Shah, man. All right. And then it says, and they shall no more be a prey to the heathen, neither shall the beasts of the land devour them, but they shall dwell safely, and none shall make them afraid. All right. So if they were real Israelites, you won't see Iran talking about blowing Israel off the face of the earth, man. You won't see all these other countries in the Middle East, all right, plotting on Israel, man, because they are the source of their conflict that's over there, man. All right, so they fit none of these prophecies, man. You know.
Go ahead.
Deuteronomy 28 and 68. And the Most High shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. By the way thereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again, and there shall be sold unto you, to your enemies, for bondmen and for bondwomen, and no man shall buy you.
You want to stop on this, bro?
You know, 'cause we went off and was out put us in slavery. In Egypt is America is modeled at Egypt. You know, we came under slavery and we were sold for bondmen, for bondwomen. And the only person gonna redeem us is Yahweh Shah.
So when did that happen to the so-called Jews? When did that happen to the Khazars, man? Where you saw a pack of Edomites get transferred to the other side of the world by way of ships, man.
Right. Proverbs 29 and 2, bro.
That's Proverbs 29 and 2. And the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice.
Yeah, do you see the people rejoicing at this time frame, man? You know, you have coups trying to overthrow puppet governments, you know, so on and so forth, man. So the people are mourning, man. And it was a video a couple of years ago of this heathen telling us we were the people of Israel, man. And then we didn't know who we were, man. You know, you remember that? She was holding her child. So basically the people are mourning. Why? Because the correct people are not ruling the world, man. Beginning with Yahweh Shah and King David.
Which is like she said, we've been lied to. Saying we Africans and stuff like that. No, she know who we are. We just don't know who we are. Because the so-called white man lied to us for years. But now we know what's up. And when the wicked bear rule, people mourn.
And the people are mourning right now because the wicked are in rule, man. You know, usury, you know, these chemtrails, you know, you're eating fake food, you know, sending your child to school to get programmed under a satanic vibration, man. Vaccines and all of this, man. You know, you fucking sleep in a microwave inside your household, man. So everybody's mourning, man. The heathens are even mourning, man. So now they're saying that being joint heirs to Esau isn't so cool after all.
This Deuteronomy chapter 33, verse 29. It say, "Happy art thou." I'm gonna start at verse 28. Israel then shall dwell in safety alone.
Right, and we're not in safety alone at this time frame, man. We are driven throughout the four corners of the earth, man.
I'm gonna go to 27. It said, "Eternal power is thy refuge, and underneath are the everlasting arms.
Mm-hmm.
And he shall thrust out the enemy from before thee, and shall say, Destroy them."
Right, and Yahweh Shem Shai has not made his move as of yet. Why? Because prophecies has to be fulfilled. He's a man of his word, man. That's why the word is above his name, man.
Israel then shall dwell in safety alone.
And we're not in safety alone, man. Go ahead.
The fountain of Jacob shall be upon a land of corn and wine.
Mm-hmm. And that's the land of Israel, man.
Also his heavens shall drop down dew.
Mm-hmm. Meaning just going at how we're going to be blessed when we get back into our land, man.
That's why scripture say Isaiah, the 60th chapter, how we don't suck the prince of the Gentiles.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to get all their resources, the riches.
Happy art thou, O Israel, who is like unto thee, O people saved by the Lord, the shield of thy help, and who is the sword of thine excellency. And thine enemies shall be found liars unto thee, and thou shalt tread upon their high places.
God. And hey, basically, we through the spirit of Yahweh Shem Shai, we're proving that they're liars. And spiritually, we are treading upon their high places, man. From a spiritual format. Look how beginning with Apostle Tahar at this time frame, how America's gone down from a spiritual format, man. All right.
Isaiah 60, verse 18. Violence shall no more be heard in thy land.
Wait a minute, what's going on in Israel right now? So this is a scripture in Isaiah that's breaking down future prophecies as to what's going to happen when the Israelites go into their homeland. Because you even had this guy Israel had a bunch of jakes from America go to Israel. They fight for citizenship. One of their members died in the Israeli army. So that can't be prophetic. So
He's dead too, right?
yeah, he's dead. He recently died. So and when we go to Israel, violence should no more be in our land. But the last decades, all you hear about is war in Israel, man. Israel.
Right.
The war between Israel and Palestine. Go ahead.
Correct. And that word violence means it says intense force or great power as a natural phenomenon. And like another good example is that they can't even grow their own crops. You know what I'm saying? They had to get their things. Is it exported?
Trees.
Imported. So like import like trees, when there's like different type of plants and different other crops, for them to grow on that land, cause the soil's not even rich there, because
The people.
because the real people not in the land.
Yeah, and that landmass was identified in the ancient word as the Fertile Crescent.
Yeah, it's the word.
Yeah. It's so many crops that we eat in America. It's mentioned in Exodus, like watermelon, garlic, cucumber. That's native to the Middle East.
Yep.
It's native to the what do you call it, the fertile crescent.
Yep.
But it's not fertile anymore. So a lot of things we eat in America, it was originally grown in the Middle East, man. But it's like the analogy of people like us living in a nice house, right? And for whatever reason, you have to vacate their house. Then next thing you know, you see degenerates living in the house. Crackheads, prostitutes. It's a crack house now.
That's right.
Israel is a spiritual crack house now. It's degenerates standing there now. All right, go ahead, brother.
I said, violence should no more be heard in thy land, wasted nor destruction within thy borders. But thou shalt call thy walls salvation and thy gates praise.
Has that happened?